right, y'all. Back for the second time today. We did something a little earlier today. We was teaching all about veganism, and the reason why you need to get healthy and eat right. And so today we're gonna talk a little bit. Tonight, I should say, we're gonna talk a little bit about the universe. So this one was pretty dope because not only did me and this brother go to the same school, we ain't know each other, but we also serve on the district council as elected officials. And as a person who's will be getting my doctorate very soon. You know what I mean? I feel honored to be able to do something like this and talk to another black doctor, which you don't see a whole lot of, number one. But then this brother is a fucking physicist. Like, wait a minute, that's mind blowing. That's world developing, and that's what this brother does. So I'm eager to actually learn a little bit more about that myself. So I hopefully you all that's tuning in can get a whole lot from this particular interview that we're doing today and this conversation in general. I'm not going to associate any type of money to this particular show that we're going to do today. But if you go back to the one that I did earlier on veganism, I did throw her $50 so that anybody that I select at random will be able to get some vegan food, $50 worth of vegan food. To do that, like all the videos that has something attached to it, go to my YouTube. My name is my name. It won't change. You can throw Rudis in there. It'll pop up. You subscribe, you like, you share, and then you comment something that you learned by watching that video that you didn't know before. And then I'll select you, and then $50 worth of vegan food go to you. Hopefully that's your first time trying it, because I know it's going to be exceptional. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to the brother Bryan and ask him to introduce himself for y'all. Dr. Ramson, I should say. Pardon me, Doc.
How you doing?
Oh,
So
man.
I am Dr. Bryan Ramson. In the field, we typically don't call ourselves doctor because everybody's a doctor. So
Facts.
we really just call each other DeAndre or Brian.
Yeah, I hear that. All right, my bad. My
No,
bad,
no,
B.
no. No, it changes for each and every location. Some people are very adamant about the
Mhm.
titles, and that's okay. It's
Mm.
so one place I am very adamant about making sure that folks address me as doctor or professors when I'm teaching a class.
Mm.
And it's mostly only just to emphasize that, I'm here to sort of give knowledge.
Right.
So,
Facts.
right. So, because you were operating in that capacity right now, it would not be odd to call you professor, right?
Mm. Yes,
Because
sir.
literally
No,
what we're doing right now.
yeah.
So,
Professor's fine. I like
so,
it.
okay. Yeah.
We'll rock.
But I'm just here as a guest. I'm just here as me hanging out. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can
Let's
call me
do that.
Brian.
Let's do that, man. All right. So look, we'll just start right off rip. Like, this brother is a physicist. There's
Mhm.
not too many physicists that you walking around that is also a person of color, and I'm sure that's also a black man at that. So let's start there, brother. How did you come across physics, and what inspired you to become a PhD holder in physics?
Yeah, man. So when I was a kid, I was really interested in so many different things. I really wanted to be a fighter jet pilot. I was
Mm.
super into jets, super into video games. So I really liked Sonic the Hedgehog. So between fighter jets and Sonic the Hedgehog, that was like
Mm.
my whole little thing when I was a kid. So what I really wanted was to figure out how to make things or how to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
And as I grew up, what happened is I found out that because I have bad eyes, I couldn't be a fighter pilot.
Mm-hmm.
I had to figure out what else I could do, and I realized I really liked science and mathematics. So I decided I was going to design jets, and then I kept pursuing down that avenue. And then eventually, at one point, I came across, like computer engineering stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
like basic programming computers, I thought I was going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then my senior year of high school, I took a physics course because somebody told me that, you're going to need to know physics if you're going to program video games. And I just fell in love with it, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
physics is great, and the reason physics is so great is because it has such broad explanatory power.
Mm-hmm.
The major thing it teaches you how to do is how to think, but how to
Mm-hmm.
think in a structured way and apply tools that you have learned to better understand your universe and your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that in high school. In my first physics course, I made a C. I did really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I kept sticking, like I just stuck with it, and it really just became like at every juncture moving forward, what would I have the most fun doing? And what it
Mhm.
came down to is I kept finding reasons to stay over doing anything else.
Mhm.
And I've had so many different experiences. I've been asked to do so many different things.
Mhm.
And I keep coming back to this field of physics. And the reason I keep coming back is because it's just so interesting.
Mhm.
I get up every day and I'm happy to get out of bed and I'm happy to go to my job. I work at a really cool place called Fermilab. It stands for
Mhm.
Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory.
Mhm.
Essentially, the government needs a place to do large science experiments.
Mhm.
And the way they make these places, they essentially build giant laboratories. So mine is about a 6,000 square acres, and it has a particle accelerator underground that we that we
That's,
use to do all sorts of physics.
that's all right. So let's back it up a little bit. Okay, so physics. Let's just unpack what physics in themselves is, because you said you were a numbers guy, really into math, right?
Hmm.
If I know a little bit about physics, which I really don't, but there is a large mathematical component associated with physics, right?
It's true, yeah, there is. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I wasn't the best math student either.
Okay.
Yeah, it really was that I learned what I needed to learn to continue to do what I found to be fun.
Okay.
So for me, when I was doing math in what was this, elementary school, middle school,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing okay, but I didn't really get good at math until I got to high school. And the reason I
Mm-hmm.
got good at it is because I actually sat down and practiced.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't understand that doing math, they say math is hard or I don't understand what's going on here. But math, at least until you get to college, is really just a recipe.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing is following a recipe. So if you can bake a cake, you can do a math problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it really is just a question of how much practice you're going to put into doing these math problems to figure out how to do them well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so I
went up
went.
to calculus too myself. So
Yeah,
just yeah, yeah, yeah. I got like a B in it or something like that,
yeah.
but I was excited to learn derivatives and those type of properties, man.
Mhm.
And I took one calculus class, pre-cal and then cal in college. And then I was kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna just focus because I love reading, right? So that was always my thing, right? But even to this day, because I was taking those classes, I really love stats. I'm
Mhm.
super intrigued by stats and trying to figure out numbers and percentages and probabilities and things of the sort that go along with stats.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
dig it.
all right. So you came out of high school, newfound love for math, got a C in physics, and
Mhm.
then what high school did you go to?
I went to a high school called Benjamin Franklin. It is in New Orleans.
Okay.
It's
Right. You
supposed
know
to be.
what? I forget that piece. See,
Yeah,
because you're in Chicago now, and we met in Chicago. I forget. So you grew up in New Orleans. You're originally from New Orleans?
I grew up in New Orleans. Yeah, and we don't
Okay.
say New Orleans, we say New Orleans.
New Orleans pod. My bad. What?
Nah, we
My
best
bad.
friends.
Okay, New Orleans. Okay, so New Orleans. Um, and so from there, from high school though, you went to Howard University. Again, we were there at the same time. I got
Mhm,
kicked out way earlier than I should have, but
mhm.
that's what I get for West Side and over there.
You
But
know.
you were there in '05, and then you pursued a couple degrees at Howard. Like, what did you end up attaining at Howard?
Yeah, so what it was for me, I so first off, I had a really great time at Howard. Howard is a fantastic place to go to school.
Man, listen here.
Like just there's some, I mean, this is a G-rated podcast, so we're not gonna
Oh
get
man,
too.
you can talk. You can talk your
Oh,
shit.
okay.
Yeah, it's cool.
Just there's so many different things that were great about Howard. First, just coming into yourself or growing
Mm-hmm.
into being an adult in
Mm-hmm.
a place where everybody looks like you and everybody's trying to do
Mm-hmm.
something, that is such a powerful experience, not just
Mm-hmm.
because it's amazing to see people like yourself trying to like it almost feels like you're instead of being alone and trying to achieve, you're part of a wave of people who are
Mm-hmm.
doing things. And when you're part of that wave, everybody more or less inspires everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So because you see your friend grinding and trying to work hard, you also see what you can do to keep up with your friend, and that just
Mhm.
tends to multiply the more people there are, right?
Mhm.
But it's not just that. So I'm a cis hetero male, right?
Mhm.
So I really enjoy black women,
Mhm.
and there are so many beautiful, amazing black women at Howard. Like
Mhm.
it was out of control, man.
Man, listen, I'm talking about. I was there for a short time, but I got some stories, man. Because we,
Oh man, oh my
yeah, I'm
god.
a twin. I'm a twin. So we went down there acting a fool, and we had a certain way about ourselves because we were coming from Chicago.
Mhm.
Look, my man said, "Yeah, talk your shit."
Like, yeah, like,
Listen, we had a certain way, man, a certain way of being players, if you will, because all we listening to is Do or Die and
uh,
Twister and all this little cool cat daddy Cadillac. You know what I mean? So we go over there with a different mindset, man, and we had a great, great, great time, boy. Yes, Lord,
so
man.
all I'm gonna say is even the cheerleaders needed tutoring, right? So
Facts.
right, so a lot of them are trying to be doctors. They're trying to get into business school. They're trying to do whatever they're trying to do, but you have to pass general courses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a physics major, right, all the dentists and doctor chicks are coming to talk to you about how to pass that physics course, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
You would
sir.
be I don't know if you would be surprised at all the number of connections I just got off of, "Oh, he knows what he's doing. He'll probably end up
Mm-hmm.
somewhere later. Let me make sure I keep in touch with him," you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
No, I know. I know.
but it's
Man.
not just the dating life. I mean, it was just I mean, so my best friends are from Howard, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was just in New York the other day, and, I was hanging out with some I mean, these cats that I had met when I first got there, and it's not just black folks either, it's the 2 cats I'm talking about are Arab, they're from, Egypt,
Mm.
and just I mean, everybody's off doing their own thing, so these 2 cats are architects and an interior designer. They have their own firm in New York, and they're I mean, they're
Man.
multimillionaires, so, like,
Yeah.
we go hang out, and they're buying me drinks at the bar that they own, right? So that's the sort
Hey,
of people
man.
that you interact with folks at Howard, and it's not just "Hey, look at Jarrell. I see you,
Yeah.
bro.
That's yeah,
I
yeah.
see you, bro." So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Jarrell and I went to school together. We used to argue
Yeah.
politics all the
Yeah. We
time.
was in Drew. That's why I told. That's why I was
Mhm,
asking you. I'm like, man, you
mhm.
don't know woo woo woo. You feel me? Like, you feel me? I'm trying to tell you.
Jarrell.
I'm trying to tell you. That's why I was like, you ain't never heard that story. You know what I'm saying?
Man, look, I kept my
No,
head down. You know how it is. I
no,
kept my head down
but
in the books. That's where I
man,
was.
listen. I'm talking about. Man, listen. I wish I would have, really had head straight like that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Really
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
It really
I
was
really
20
wish
years
I had
ago.
head straight like that. But speaking to the feeling, right?
Mhm.
Like you said, that let me know that I belong though. Being able to
Right.
go there because I'm from Austin High School, you feel me? I and I I knew then that high school underprepared me for the experience of going to Howard. You feel
Mhm.
me? And so while I was there, I felt a little out of place. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I'm coming from this real rough background and underprepared because of the school that I went to and just being around so many people from Chicago as well, but just having, you know, what I felt like was like light years beyond me in terms of preparation. But they were all pulling, trying to hold you up though at the same
Mhm.
time. They was not gonna let you fail, you feel me?
Mhm.
Like, and so even when I came back, even when I came back home, I'm like, yeah, I belong there. And so that energy that I felt there is still passing through me today and trying to make sure that, I solidify my place the way it need to be and be able to speak to these things so that when I'm talking to other folks, like, yeah, I went there. Let me, you know what I mean? I fucked up. I did. I did some dumb shit. You feel me? But I belong there and I still belong there because we all are still doing the same thing and trying to improve our world spaces.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
man.
that thing, man, it felt so good to go to that school, man. And still, when I go hit that yard again, I always said
Oh,
the yard make me cry every time, bro. Every time
oh.
I go, I cry.
And then the thing is, the thing about so I'm gonna say one last thing about Howard because we could talk the whole
Yeah,
hour
facts. Yeah,
about
go ahead.
Howard. We really
Yeah,
could.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But the thing it really gave me most important part besides the experience, besides
Mm-hmm.
just really enjoying what I did there was before I came to Howard, I didn't have enough history or understanding about myself to have a strong sense of
Mm,
self. And
mm,
that's another thing that Howard taught me was that
mhm,
there's a long, deep history to being a Black person in America.
mhm,
And that has a lot to do with who you are and how you're perceived.
mhm,
And if you know your history, you develop a sense of self that nobody else can take away from you.
mhm.
So now I've been, all over the country. In fact, I was just at Yale last week giving a talk on some stuff, right?
Man.
Like literally just came back from Yale. I'm in Massachusetts right now, hanging with another friend of mine who is a professor at Amherst. Excuse
Mhm,
me, she's at University of Massachusetts Amherst. So I'm
mhm.
actually in the middle of nowhere, Massachusetts. Not really, but it's rural.
Right, yeah.
And the whole point is like I think people recognize that I'm just on my shit, and
Mhm.
I got that sense of being on your shit from Howard.
Facts.
And then once I
Facts.
got that, it's portable. You take that everywhere, you know?
That's a fact though. Yeah. Man, absolutely. Like I say, I took a lot from it, and even in that very short stay, and still have some friends too that I go and visit and things like that around the country in different parts. I'll be able to call them up. Whoop, I'm gonna slide through. If you
Mhm,
cool with it, you know, and so same thing. So to go back towards the physics piece, because I definitely want to make sure. Like I got a lot of questions to explore with
mhm.
that. So you said the work that you do makes you happy to get out of bed, right? So
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
going to tie that into one of the questions that I had created. And so, if possible, because I know y'all do some things that you may not you cannot share probably, but can you discuss a project or experiment that you're working on that you're particularly excited about?
So let me back up a little bit.
Mm,
So I have been offered, the top secret government stuff. That's not
yeah.
really where my interest is. Um,
Mm,
the stuff I do is completely unclassified, all
mm.
public
Okay.
information, academic level stuff, right? And the
Wait. So
reason I'm
did the CIA approach you?
oh, I mean, even if they did, I couldn't tell you, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I've had some interactions, nothing super serious, just
Mhm,
like, folks have gauged my interest.
mhm.
Um, but that's not really where the most interesting things are, right?
Okay.
At least for me. Where I find the most interesting things, and the reason is because when you start talking to those folks, it's about national security,
Fact.
and they like what you know, but they want you to apply what you know to make sure that we can always be in control of the situations that
Mhm,
that we encounter as a country, right?
mhm,
And for me, once you solve that problem or once you do that problem, I don't find that particularly interesting because it's not big enough. I really hate to say
mhm,
it that way, but that's kind of how it is.
mhm.
So the stuff I do at Fermilab is a laboratory that's completely open to the public, and we only do academic research.
Okay.
Yeah, so everything I work on, you can Google, you can find online, you can read about it, and you can learn about it. So to answer your question about can I discuss a project? Yes, and
Mm,
I'm excited about everything I do.
okay.
Everything I do is amazing. Like it's really cool, right?
Yeah.
So I'm an associate scientist at the neutrino division of Fermilab. Associate scientist means that I'm essentially like professor level at a university.
Mm,
It isn't there, in fact, almost the same position because Fermilab wants to essentially be a quasi academic institution.
mhm,
And the only reason they're not is because they're funded directly by the government.
mhm,
So we're essentially professors, and we bring students on individually to work with us on our experiments, sort of as like an apprentice sort of relationship.
mhm,
But we don't teach classes unless we really want to. So if I
mhm,
want to go talk to U Chicago or Michigan State, which is a place I'm actually talking to right now about actually teaching some courses, then I can say, hey, I'll teach a course or two, and those students will have this course taught by people actually doing the science,
mhm.
right?
So you got a backup question that says, give me an example of the coolest thing you worked on that you personally think is just super cool, Dr. Bryan.
Oh, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You need some groundwork. You
You
need
say
some
I'm slow
groundwork.
walking. You won't let it
You need some
sizzle.
ground-
Let it
you need
sizzle.
some groundwork. So So the stuff I work on is literally I look at the most abundant particle in the universe. It's called a neutrino, at least as far as we know so far. And neutrinos are these ultralight particles that are so hard to measure that they can go through like multiple light years of lead before we can see them.
Mm.
So right now, each of us who are sitting on this call has multiple trillions of neutrinos going through us at the same time. This man said I'm on my lunch. Hurry. What's interesting about neutrinos is not only that they're super abundant or that they're super light, it's that because they're so hard to measure, we haven't been able to use them to understand things about the universe. And now we are finally getting the technology to be able to measure these things reliably, and then the amounts we need to start getting access to the hidden variables or hidden parameters that these neutrinos encode in the universe. So literally, if you can measure enough neutrinos and measure them the right way, you get access to this parameter, which is called the CP violation parameter, and that means charge parity violation. It's a technical term for literally meaning that you are not the same as your mirror image. And because of this symmetry that we're trying to look for using neutrinos, once we find it, we'll be able to tell you why matter is here as opposed to antimatter. So we're literally trying to explain like why we are here.
Yeah, right. That's
Literally, that's what I
crazy.
work on every day, right? And I have multiple experiments that do that. And this is why I say I'm
That's
super excited about
crazy.
it. I'm working
Wait,
on
now so you
what's
go
that?
out to expound a little bit on when you say mirror self, because I know a little bit about, we folks think there's alternate dimension and things like
Mhm.
that. So when we talking mirror self, we talking about somebody else that's in a different dimension, or how we looking at that?
So I'm gonna get a little bit technical with you now. When I say your mirror
Uh,
self,
Okay.
I literally mean your antiparticle and the symmetry of parity. So CP violations means charge parity violation.
Mm-hmm.
And so a great way to explain it, imagine everybody, this world has like a Alice in Wonderland look in the mirror and you see like there's a world in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
right? The physics world in a conceptual sense is very much like that. And that in order for physics to work, we have to assume that there is a mirror world and that the same
Mm-hmm.
physics exists over there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case, then there are certain implications about what happens in our world that we can measure.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about different dimensions in an abstract sense, what we're essentially saying is that the physics in that world has to be the same as the physics in our world.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we know something about antiparticles now.
Okay. Now you gotta break down what's the antiparticle,
Yeah.
or not no no antimatter is what you said. You said
Antimatter and antiparticles are the same thing.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what are they? Obviously, we are particles, right? We
Uh-huh.
exist, and so anti would mean does not exist, or just would be mirror.
Antiparticles means that it's the exact same as us, but opposite electric charge.
Okay, okay.
So just as there is an electron, which is
Mm-hmm.
orbiting an atom,
Mm-hmm.
that electron can also be a positron, which is the electron's antiparticle, and is literally
Mm-hmm.
just an electron with a positive charge as opposed to an electron with a negative charge.
Negative. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Copy that.
Yeah.
So okay, so
Yeah.
so you mentioned creativity pretty much in this idea that for physics to exist, there has to be an imagination, as if you will, of that there is a mirror, and
Mhm.
that if we exist in this mirror, then we must exist in this mirror, and something can change in either, right? So how else does creativity play a role in the research or in just physics in general?
It is literally the most important thing in my entire job.
Mm-hmm.
So backing up a bit, I didn't quite answer the last question, but I will sort of answer it. So again, I work on two different experiments. I work on an experiment called NOVA, and NOVA It's a huge experiment. There's an experiment the size of essentially a football field that is full of a hydrocarbon. So think of like vegetable oil,
Mhm.
and it's out in the middle of Minnesota, and we shoot a neutrino beam at it from Chicago.
Come on, G. Hold on.
That's literally what we do.
Nah, this different. Nah, oh, I see why you like going to work.
Yeah, man. So as
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a
yeah,
minute. So why y'all shooting a neutrino beam at it?
because we need. Remember how I told you those neutrinos encode hidden parameters about the universe?
Mm-hmm.
The way you find those hidden parameters is you have to wait for the neutrino to travel, and as it travels, it changes identity. So what does that mean? That means like imagine if you were going to your grandma's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where your grandma's house is, but assume you're walking to your grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way to walking to your grandma's house, while you were halfway there, you turned into your father, right? Literally, you just turned into your
Right,
dad.
right,
And then once you got to your grandma's house, you turned back into yourself.
right.
That's what neutrinos literally do. They literally do
Yes.
that. And it's called neutrino oscillation. That was discovered in 2015. I'm sorry, it was discovered in the year 2000, but the people who discovered that got a Nobel Prize in 2015.
Man, G, this different. Nah, this different. This
Oh,
type of talk
I'm sorry. It
different.
wasn't 2015. It was 2005. Excuse me.
Nah, oh, this.
Is there a case of physics that you? But first, talk about this neutrino beam pole y'all shooting. No. This literally happens. It's not something that I've heard of. I work with data every day. I have watched it happen. Right,
That's
like
crazy.
literally, it happens. If you Google neutrino oscillations, the Wikipedia page is on it and everything.
Wow.
So the way in which these neutrinos change identity, we're trying to measure that, and the only way you can see it is if you make the neutrinos go a long distance.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to make the neutrino beam at Fermilab using our accelerator, and then
Mm-hmm.
shoot it through the planet to Minnesota. That's
Wait,
literally
hold
what
on.
we do every day, bro. I'm
Hold
I'm
on.
not joking.
Hold on. When you say when you say shoot it through the planet, Minnesota not that far away from us. Why y'all shooting it through the planet though? Or you mean like down or like what
You
are we
shoot it
doing?
down in the direction towards Minnesota, and it ends up in our detector in Minnesota. And remember, neutrinos
It's different.
neutrinos don't really interact with matter, so they just go through everything.
This different.
So we shoot we shoot trillions upon trillions of neutrinos at Minnesota, and we catch a few of them in our detector. And as we catch them, we try to see if they have changed identity.
Right.
Yeah, that's like my day job, bro.
Oh my God. Nah. I would love doing that too.
Right?
That sounds like the ultimate, like as a kid, like you said, playing video games or
Bro,
just tinkering with shit.
I get up every day and it's like going to summer camp.
Damn,
I get up,
that's man.
I get up
Listen,
every day, and I'm like, what are we doing today? This is crazy,
that's super dope, bro.
bro. It's
That
so
that's super dope.
so that's one experiment I work on. The second experiment is called Dune, which is the experiment I just described called Nova, but bigger
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
more expensive. So instead of doing one thing that's the size of a football field, we're doing four things that's the size of a football field.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're putting it a mile underground, and we're getting better beam and better detectors to do all this stuff. It's crazy. We're doing that in the next 5 to 10 years. And then I have my own experiment that I got funding for to try to improve our understanding of neutrinos just by doing some sort of particular measurements. So the
Man,
government literally gave me like $1 million to like build another experiment that I'm building on my own. And then I get to work on two other experiments that the government is spending billions of dollars on. And this is important stuff, right? So like I get up every
now
day.
that's black excellence. That is black excellence right there.
Well, so I get up every day, and this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question about creativity, in order to do these experiments, what we do every day is solve problems. So if something doesn't work, you got to figure out how to fix it. This man said, woke up and chose physics violence.
Man, see, I've been waiting on this one. I was telling my brother, like, man, I got the physicist coming on. You got to be on this one. Yeah, yeah. I've been waiting on this one too,
Yeah.
man.
So like, it's not a game out here. Like, folks is really trying to get these measurements done. Once we do not only are we doing a measurement, but these folks in Japan are doing a measurement too. So like, we're racing against these folks with Japan right now, and it's not really a rivalry,
Right?
but we kind of want to be first. But Japan also kind of wants to be first too, right?
Man, America, we need some dubs,
right?
For real, we need some dubs. Yeah.
So it's like friendly competition with our Japanese collaborators. So in the next year or two, I'll probably head out to Japan and chat with them. I travel a lot because we have conferences and collaboration meetings all over the world. So last year I just came back from Korea. I think I was supposed to go to Brazil next month, but I actually don't have time. I got too much stuff to do, so I can't go to Brazil. Right. Year before that I was in Mozambique, which is right above South Africa. It's part of a movie premiere that I'm actually. I forgot I'm in a documentary about this thing. It's like a Canadian documentary.
Yeah, y'all producing it now, or it's already done? You're in it.
It's already done. We're just trying to get it released in America.
Okay. Yeah. Share that link. I want to watch this.
Oh yeah, but I guess the point is, like, life is fun.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I really have a good time. My work really fulfills me, and I make good money too. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So what's the most interesting thing about that is that you also live on the west side of Chicago. I live in Austin, and you live in Garfield, which is arguably worse than Austin. And you're doing these amazing things. I know we focus a little bit. We definitely gonna get back into physics, but I want to make sure that I touch on the fact that you are also a district council person like myself, representing police accountability as a newly elected representative. And so just to kind of touch into some of the political aspect, how did you go from shooting particle beams, neutrino beams, pardon me, through our Earth, to wanting to uphold the rights of the citizens, man? How did that come about?
So what it really was for me. So I don't know if you could tell, but I love Black folks. So when I first got here,
oh me, you hear me?
Nah, don't do that.
Come on, you hear me? Listen,
don't do that. Come on. Nah, it really wasn't. I just love Black people. And don't get it twisted, right? I love everybody, but I just do a walkthrough on your job, or it's a real like, nah, you need clearance. Nah, you can come through. You come through. You just let me know. We'll put up my email and we can talk about it.
Yes, sir.
But what happened? Oh, so when I first moved here, I let the school put me up, and they put me up in Naperville and Aurora.
Okay.
And I was like, nah, this ain't it for me. So the whole time I lived in Naperville and Aurora, I was volunteering at the Peace Corner Youth Center. And I just really started liking the West Side. That's really what it was. So in 2015, I moved into Austin, and I liked it in Austin. I lived right off Central and Race.
Oh, you was in a beautiful part.
Yeah, right across the street.
Oh yeah,
right next to the Central Metro Station.
Yeah, decent enough. That block of Austin Lake to Chicago Avenue to Austin and Central Chicago Avenue to Lake. That's a historic area. That's like the most beautiful area of Austin you can be in.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah. And folks are playing because like I was looking around.
You hear me? Come on, man. You hear me?
I was looking around at these housing values, and I'm like, why are houses so cheap here? Right. So then I kept looking around, and I started deciding I was going to hang out in Chicago because I really liked my job. I really liked the people I was working with, and I really liked Chicago. So, and I really love Chicago because Chicago is one of the few places left where there's like a strong Black middle class. And the same sorts of environments that I found at Howard, I could find in Chicago. Like, the brothers running the podcast called Professor and Friends, right? Like, Like that's just the sort of thing Chicago does, right?
Facts.
I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna hang out here. Let me figure out where to buy a house. And it turned out that the easiest way for me to get a house was to get a building and basically try to give housing back to the community while also covering, my living expenses. So I was able to buy a place in Garfield Park. I was able to completely renovate it.
Mm,
And then all those units serve. I mean, right now I have one Section 8 person. I'll probably get another Section 8 person.
mm,
But the idea is that you offer high quality housing for not a ton of money, and people come in. And
right.
the housing issue is like one of the major issues that lead to poverty. So if you can
Yeah.
offer some sort of stability, that happens to do a lot for the kids in the neighborhood. So like in fact, my second tenant moved in. She has 4 kids and she's a single mom. And because housing is so cheap, she was able to buy a car. And then she was also, now that she has a car, she's able to go back to school. So last time I talked to her, she was going back to school to get an MBA.
Nice.
And it
Dope.
all starts with like that structure in housing,
Yeah. Yeah. You
right?
need that foundation. Yeah.
So it was basically, where could I live around black folks and afford it? And it seemed like Garfield Park was that spot. And then on top of
Mm,
that, I was also able to give back to the community. So
mm,
that's why I chose Garfield Park.
mm,
But I also did have an issue. I think somebody was saying get out of Garfield Park. I did have an issue with some of these knuckleheads out here.
mm,
And I started talking with my alderman. I was like, bro, like, what's good? Like, I don't understand how this happens.
mm,
So, after enough conversations with my alderman, he was like, well, look, you seem to have a good head on your shoulders. You seem to really want to do some good work. How do you feel about this district council position? I was like, I'm not really too interested in getting into politics. But he was like, well, think
mm,
about it. So I thought about it. I asked around, and he was like, cool. Well, we'll see what we can do about helping you get on the ballot, and also like figuring out how we can have you help the community.
mm.
And then from there, I signed the paperwork to get on the ballot, and that was that. And
Yeah.
then, as it, I'd say the work is more challenging than my job. Actually, I will say, definitely say that.
Yeah.
It-
It's
because
interesting. So I know you have to work with a lot of very smart people, and
uh-huh.
I'm not gonna assume it's easy to get along with them, but y'all speaking the language at minimum. When you work in the community, though,
This is something I'm
everywhere.
learning. Not everybody speaks the
Yeah,
same language, and that's exactly what it
yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
As scientists, we can disagree, but we all have a set of norms. We have a set of things that we
Mm-hmm.
understand to be true, right? And
Mm-hmm.
because we start from that same basis, even when we have
Mm-hmm.
disagreements, it's able for us to move forward. With the community, everybody started from so many different places. They just get everybody on the
Mm-hmm.
same page initially. It's so difficult,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's not even to speak on just the forces that are arrayed against folks in the community. There are people trying to
Mm-hmm.
make money off folks who live here. I keep saying, Garfield Park and the West Side in general is a valuable place to be. All the
Facts.
houses on the West Side are worth a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's only now that people are starting to realize how much that area is worth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there are people who are interested in getting the people who have historically been in that community out of that community.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, it's challenging. It's a new challenge. And
Yeah.
I don't want to act like I have a lot like I don't have enough challenges already, but it's important. So we make
Right.
sure it's done.
And that's what's up, though. I mean, again, like I said, when I met you, and because I first met you at the Golden Dome. At the Golden Dome, you came in, you threw down a big ass bag of garbage in front of the
Uh-huh.
police.
Yeah.
They, what the hell? Who this big black man is? What the hell?
Yeah.
And you was like, how you put it? You said, since y'all ain't taking out y'all garbage, I did it for you. I was like, yeah. I said, this dude different. Hold on, let me tell you about NPI, because this is what we doing here and trying to figure out how to build relationships.
I mean, at that point, I was getting a little bit heated because I didn't see the action that I thought
Right,
that we should have
right,
in our neighborhood.
right. Now,
And
but you know what? You again, if more of us as black men did the same thing, they gonna respond the right way. Because I mean, ultimately, like you lost nothing, obviously, and they started to be a little bit more attentive to the issues that you were bringing forth.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, listen, I think one of the things that we as Black men have to do is be in our community, number one, especially if we become educated. There's no point in running somewhere else. You know, we're not going to be accepted, you know, and hell, we may not be accepted amongst our own, but at least there's cultural connection so that potentially we can. But at the end of the day, exactly what you did is what we're supposed to do. Get educated, come back to the communities, and build these communities up before somebody else does it.
Mm-hmm.
For
And that's really
real.
the issue, right? Is I'm really
Yeah.
trying to convince my family, I'm trying to convince friends to buy property in Chicago because I
Mhm.
really like. I think so. I think I said something earlier in the conversation about knowing yourself and knowing your history.
Yeah. Mhm.
And everybody talks about the Black Panthers and the shirts and stuff, right? But
Mhm.
how many of us know that Fred Hampton grew up right behind, this the what is it, the Pete's Fresh Market on the west
On
side, right?
on Western. Yeah.
Right off Western, right?
Mhm.
So when we talk
Mhm.
about these sorts of social movements and revolutions that have a through line all the way to President Barack Obama, right?
Mhm.
That started with the Black Panthers. There's a whole book about that, from the bullet to the ballot,
Mhm.
right? So just that level of history, the fact that that exists on the west side, and that many of us don't know about it and are afraid to step into our own communities, right? But on top of that history, again, these neighborhoods are valuable,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So like I don't know why I would pay, 6, 7, 800 grand to have a house in Naperville that is new construction, that's not made very well,
Mhm.
live around a bunch of white folks, and that's no shade
Mhm.
to white folks, but they're not my culture,
Right.
right? So I
Right.
don't know why I would pay all that money to go live with them when I can use half that money to serve my community and have the same quality of living,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Like, and still deal with I mean, I don't want my neighborhood to be gentrified, but
Right.
I'm gonna be okay either way, right? And it really
Fact.
is, what can I do for my community to make sure that the people who are around me can do what they need to do and can also have a high quality of life, because
No.
right?
You man, listen. So I am pro gentrifying.
Mm,
I'm against gentrification. I just feel like gentrification is already happening. It's gone. There's nothing we're gonna be able to do about it. But
mhm,
gentrifying, raising the taste level of our community, making sure that, like you said, middle class blacks are what the community is made up of, making sure the school system is better. Hell, if we could walk down the street and see more coffee shops, bike shops,
yeah,
arts and craft spaces,
yeah,
juice bars, like that's just raising the taste level of the
it
neighborhood.
really
But
is.
to get there, we also got to make sure that people have a higher standard of living and
Yeah,
income that comes along with it as well. And that becomes the challenge because most of us are just stuck where we are. And
mhm,
there's not a whole lot of growth beyond where we were when we were kids. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
no, I feel it. No, I deliberately choose to be in this neighborhood because I deliberately choose to be around Black folks, and I think if more folks chose Black folks,
Yeah,
I think things would look a lot different.
the
But
right way.
you can't tell anybody what to do. All you can do is try to lead by example.
That's all you could do. You know what? Let's bring it back to the physics. That ties into a really good question I had. Can't
Yep.
tell anybody what to do, but if you had to give advice to young people that's interested in pursuing a career in physics, what would that be?
Um, so the most important thing is you gotta follow your interests, right? That is the number one most important thing. At every stage, at every step of my career, I really ask myself, what would be the most interesting thing for me to do? Because of the skills that I've gained, because of essentially the doctorate, the paper, right? Because of this, I have had access to so many different things. In addition to doing defense contracting stuff.
Hey,
Basically,
man.
you gotta choose the niggas too. The niggas are hilarious, bro. Like, you gotta choose them too. We need everybody in the community,
So we
fam.
need everybody. Everybody
We
got
need
a role to play.
everybody. Just because Junebug ain't doing right don't mean he not a person. We got to help him out too.
Man.
But Um, I I have had so many opportunities to do things. So not just particle physics,
Mm,
not just defense contracting stuff with these companies that are out here building all these weapons, which don't work for weapons contractors.
mm,
But computer programming, Google, Apple, etc. Um, machine learning stuff. Wall Street. Wall Street is a big thing, right?
mm,
And the thing, I mean, and they've all offered me crazy amounts of money. It really is like I make a fraction of what I could make doing what I do, right?
mm.
But the reason I'm still here doing this stuff is because I'm happy. I
Facts.
will get up every day and choose this 100 times out of 100. Because once you make the money, what are you gonna do?
But
And as long as you got enough to live and get what you want out of life, you really don't need that much more than that,
yeah.
right? So, number one most important thing for young folks, what are you interested in doing? What do you like to do?
Mm,
And it doesn't even have to really be anything physically or mathematically oriented. What will happen is as you develop your interest, and you stick with it, you will find that in order to be better at what you want to do, you will have to gain certain skills.
mm-hmm,
And it is in this process of gaining the skills that you will prepare yourself to do whatever you want to do. And whether that be physics or not, it's okay if it's not physics, I guess is what I'm saying. But if it is physics, you'll know, right? You'll start leaning more towards mathematical things that you like to do or that you want to learn how to do. Like I
mm-hmm,
remember when I was in high school, I really wanted to know how calculus works. So I was just curious about it. Like
mm-hmm,
how does it work? And it wasn't until I took a physics course that I realized that I needed calculus in order to do physics well.
mm-hmm,
And then I learned how to do it like the back of my hand, right?
mm,
So that's sort of how I approach stuff is what am I interested in doing and what do I need to know to do things well?
mm,
And if you focus on a certain standard of quality in everything that you do, you'll eventually get into physics if that's what you want to do because you'll realize you'll need it.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
So yeah, number one most important thing, follow your interest. If your interest is basketball, then do that. Just do it well, right?
yeah.
If your interest is making music, learn everything you can about it and then make
Mm-hmm,
music,
mm-hmm.
right? So that's all I would say.
Facts. Find that thing that you like to do and do that and do it as well as you can.
Right? Just be good
So
at it.
facts. I got one more question for you.
Yeah.
And this one really just ties into everything, like I said, whether it's community related, policing related, the job that you currently have, or even speaking to some of the jobs that you could have had. How do you think your work in physics can contribute to real world problem solving?
Uh that's low key like all we do, man.
Okay.
So a little bit so I skipped over a little bit of my background. When I was at Howard, I was not only doing undergrad degrees in math and physics, but I was also doing a master's in atmospheric physics. And the reasoning is because I was interested at the time in trying to solve climate change.
Okay.
So I got that master's and I left the school in 2011, but I got the master's in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized was solving, well, not it's not even that solving climate change would be fun. It's that from the what we need to do to avoid climate change, we already know that's pretty much already been solved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at
Mm-hmm.
that point, it's a political problem,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're asking how can physics contribute to solving real world problems, I mean, just immediately, the idea or the problems that climate change will 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 make. Well, first of all, the reason for why climate change is happening is a physics problem, which I learned, but also solutions are likely physics problems as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can at least draw up plans or figure out exactly what you need to tell people or exactly what people need to do to be able to be safe and have a high quality of life moving into the future.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just like that's an immediate easy answer, right? One of the reasons I got into nuclear physics or neutrino physics is actually an offshoot of nuclear physics.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I got into neutrino physics is because I was studying nuclear physics. Because once I figured out what was going on in climate science, I wanted to figure out how to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went and did a bunch of nuclear stuff and figured out how to make new reactors. And eventually what it came down to is that I understood that once you solve the problem of making a reactor, getting a reactor through regulations is not fun at all. It's not a fun thing. And I knew other people would want to do that. And I think the money would be worth it for them to do it. That's not how I wanted to spend my time. So, now I do stuff that may not necessarily be seen as particularly problem solving, but even that sort of stuff.
You say you got to put your neutrinos. You put the.
I actually had to stop smoking because the government asked me to. Let me just put it that way. I stopped smoking in 2017. I was still a grad student, but I stopped. But to get back to it, even the stuff I'm looking at now, it has the problem. It's solving problems that we haven't had yet. And I know that sounds weird, but really what it means is that. Oh, okay. So let me back up and explain to you this way. So, you know how we have computers now, and computers, we can do everything. Like we're doing this podcast off a computer. In order for us to have computers, you have to understand how electrons work, which means you have to understand electricity. Right? But how are you going to understand how electrons work if you don't know what an electron is? The reason I'm asking it that way, what that means is that somebody had to do the underlying fundamental research to figure out that there was an electron before we could use it to make computers. Right? And that's low key sort of the research we're doing now. We are doing a fundamental science for the people for the engineers in the next 100, 200 years who are going to use the science we do now to do very interesting things. And we can't predict what they're going to do, just like the folks who were doing this stuff couldn't predict that computers were going to be a thing now. Right.
Man. So this the foundation. Listen, man, we didn't get even to the universe and the stars, black holes, and all the other. But you know what? We got time, man. So we gonna be able to do it again. Cause this right here, man. This one right here. I was waiting on this one. This is good. This is good right here. This is good, man.
Man,
this is good.
We can get in. We can go through a whole presentation about what we're doing, why we're doing it, the details, and what we hope to find. Like we're looking at like supernovas and stuff, man, or supernovae. That's what they say in the field. We don't say supernovas. We say supernovae. So we'll be able to observe those with neutrinos. We'll be able to look past something called the optical limit or the photon limit for the universe. So using neutrinos, because they don't like matter, they can see farther into the past than any other thing.
Come on.
So like we can do stuff like look at what happened like moments after the Big Bang. What else can we do? Oh, we're also looking for like, so you know how Einstein was trying to look for like a grand unified theory of everything. So we're also using neutrinos, or at least neutrino detectors, to try to observe like something that could tell us about whether we can actually get a grand unified theory. Oh, because supernovae is plural for a supernova. It's Latin. All these educated dudes knew Latin. So, yeah, you don't say supernovas. You say supernovae.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that AE on the end of it?
Okay. It's AE. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's I mean, I don't know, man. We're gonna have to go on a tour of the lab. The lab's open to the public.
We going on a tour. Listen, me, Jason, and whoever else watching this that want to, man, we finna do a field trip. For real, we finna dead ass. We finna do a field trip for real, man. For real.
You whenever you're ready to come out. I mean, you haven't been in my car yet. I'll drive you out myself. You know, I drive a sports car, so I'm out there in like 20 minutes. It's in Naperville.
Hey,
you ride with me.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. Listen. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, no, yeah. This what's up, man. All right, so look, let me go on and wrap this up because again, it's. Did I win? Oh, you did win the hoodie. Yes, you did. Absolutely won that hoodie. So let me. He said, "Man, add me." Okay, let me give you my telephone number. It's fine. Everybody has it. 773-543-8255. 5968. Once again, it's 773 543 5968. Make sure you text me, and hopefully you're in Chicago. Make it easier to deliver it to you. If not, though, we'll make arrangements and get it to you. So, as I was stating before, these videos, this is my way of trying to educate and entertain the community. And so when we have various guests on, I like to associate either a dollar amount or some item. The item that she's talking about is these West Side hoodies. I bought a couple of them from somebody locally that makes them, and I was raffling them off. That particular young lady won one of the hoodies, and I'll make sure I send it to her earlier. If somebody else tapped in earlier and watched the video where we was talking about veganism, I spent $50 so that the person can win $50 worth of vegan food. So again, we're doing this the whole year and beyond. You know what I mean? Because I think it's just time to have people be able to sit down and learn something, and you know what I mean? Just try to give back. So that's what the Professor and Friends platform is about. You know what I mean? So that said, listen, Dr. Bryan, pardon me. I want to give you the big screen. I know you said earlier you wanted to, put your email out there and things like that so folks could connect with you. Okay, cool. Oh, I already got you on my phone. Okay, cool. I'm just seeing your text cakes. So yeah, I'll make sure that I connect with you. So you say I'm locked in. I just set my notification. Yes, sir. So I'm gonna give you the big screen. You say your email and anything else you would like to share with the folks, and then yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
I'm looking up see if we can easily get the web page to get to folks. Oh, here we go. So, hello. Uh-oh. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, okay.
No, I'll give you the big screen. Whatever you like to say in closing. Share out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was looking for my email. Okay, go back.
Okay, yeah, no. So no, I was just saying, just just take us out, or not necessarily take us out, but anything you like to share in closing. I suppose again, I know you want to share your email and stuff like that for folks that might be interested in doing tours and all that other stuff. Whatever you'd like to share. I know you're in the 11th district.
Yep.
Councilman, if you want to talk about the meeting coming up, whatever, anything,
yep.
You know what I mean?
So, yep. All right. So hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. A couple things. So we have a few different programs that we work on with Fermilab. The first thing I'd like to do is give you my email address. Write this down. There are two. It's either bjrams87@fnal.gov, or you can send it to brian.ramson.phd@gmail.com. The reason I want you to get in touch with me, we do tours. We're trying to get anybody who wants to come. We can set up a little ride, maybe do lunch and head out. You can see the lab. You can see where I work on. That's number one. Number two, we also have programs for kids. We have something called Saturday Morning Physics, which is a program I run. We teach about 100 to 150 high school students a semester. We try to teach them general physics. So basically modern physics, quantum mechanics, special relativity, that sort of thing, particle physics. If you're interested in having your kids join, if they're in high school, please let me know. We will route them into the program. We're trying to get folks to take advantage of these opportunities. Anything else I can think of? Oh, our next district council meeting, if you are in the 11th district, will be on March 13th. It'll be at the Gold Dome, and it'll be at 5 p.m. Not only will we be discussing a block club initiative that we're trying to roll out in the 11th district, which we're also trying to roll out in multiple districts on the west side, but we will also be reading a passage from Angela Davis, not a passage, a chapter from Angela Davis's book. The book is called, I think, Women, Race, and Class. And the reason we're reading that is because it is actually Women's Month this month. So yeah, I really appreciate y'all. Tuning in. Really appreciate DeAndre for having me. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Nah, appreciate you for coming on, brother. Again, like I said, I knew this was gonna be one of them ones. Oh yeah, yeah, the right way. See, we locked in. We locked in. We locked in. That's what's up. Um, Good one. Yes, sir. Listen, like I said, man, we locked in. We have so much more to discuss. Again, the whole universe is vast, and we didn't even talk about that piece of your thoughts on that and things like that.
Oh yeah.
But it's just the first one, and I'm definitely gonna have you back so long as you want to come back. You feel me?
Oh yeah, man. I'll come back. I got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Facts. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about it. All right, so I don't have anything much further. I always like to say this in closing, though. Class dismissed.